Welcome to Freedive Live with Ted Hardy, episode number 17. I am the founder of Immersion Freediving as well as freedivingsafety.com. If you had not visited freedivingsafety.com, you definitely should. It's a free online course. It goes over the risks of the sport. You'll learn the truth about blackout. I get in depth the fatality numbers. I don't sugarcoat anything. You're going to learn how to tell if you're overweighted. Many freediver and spearfishermen are overweighted, so that if they black out, they sink down to the bottom of the ocean, which sounds as bad as you think it is. You're going to learn how to test to make sure that wouldn't happen to you. There's a discussion of hyperventilation and make sure you're not breathing in such a way that would increase the risk of you having a loss of motor control or a blackout. And ultimately, you're going to learn what to do if your buddy has a loss of motor control or a blackout, right? If your buddy has something happen to him, do you even know what you're supposed to do? Right? So if that's not enough, I'm also going to try to appeal to your wallet. If you pass the quiz in there in the program, you're going to get an email with discounts to from 9 of the biggest names in the sport, the sponsors of freedivingsafety.com. So learn to save yourself, learn to save your buddy, or save some money. But either way, there's no reason not to visit freedivingsafety.com. So freedivingsafety.com, it's my new baby. It's my new mission to teach more people about safe freediving than any other person on the planet. And freedivingsafety.com is the vehicle that's going to hopefully allow me to do that. So if you haven't checked out the website, you definitely should. What's up, Chris? For those that are there, do me a favor. Let me know where you're from. Get an idea geographically who I'm dealing with, and if you've taken a freediving class, yes or no. Right. So if you can let me know in the comments where you are from and if you've taken a class or not, that would be awesome. Game plan for the show. I will be discussing, first off, I'll be discussing an efficient freediving entry, one of my favorite topics, and something I spend a lot of time on during my courses. I will just show you. It must be great. You're going to see video of this, right? So you're going to see video of how the entry is supposed to look. You're going to see video of the number one problem. I see it all the time, and I know exactly why you make that mistake. It's so common. Even when I'm in class and I explain that 10 times don't do it. The first time they get in the water, they all do it, right? Because it's hard to. It seems very logical, but you're going to see it, and then I'm going to explain why that is. Hopefully, you're not going to do that anymore if you're doing it. And the third thing I'm pretty excited about is I'm going to show you video footage of Jeremy Gamble. Jeremy's the owner of Spearfishing Magazine, and he's a past student of mine. He took the course twice, learned that good, efficient freediving entry, and then you see how he applies it to spearfishing. And he does one thing that's really slick that I like. And I believe that this is a kind of a gap that a lot of freediving classes have. Certainly, at least in the United States, it seems like all I can say is most of my students are spearfishermen. Most people that take freediving courses in the U.S. are spearfishermen, right? But there's no spear gun in the class, right? So you walk out of this freediving course and you have all this amazing knowledge about freediving. It's awesome, and then you're like, well, how do I make that work with what I do, which is spearfishing? And I think this video of Jeremy will help. I showed this video once a while ago, and I had several people that had seen the show at the Blue Wild Expo, which was last weekend, say they really appreciated seeing that. So I'm going to put that one up there again and give a little bit of analysis of that. Dominican Republic, past student of mine. Very cool. Very cool. You flew for a long way. I think I remember who you are. I've had a couple students. Esteban, yeah. I've had a couple students from Dominican Republic. I had one student. I can't remember if it was you because I've had almost 1,000 students, so bear with me. But I had one student from Dominican Republic. I don't know if it was you or not. Was very seasick. I mean, very seasick. Dry heaving. I felt so bad. I'm like, man, you ought to go back to the boat, right? It's not looking too good, right? And if it was you, I don't know if it was you or someone else, but he looked me in the eye. He's like, I came all the way from Dominican Republic to take this class. I'm not getting on that damn boat. I'm like, okay. You want to throw up in the ocean? Feel free. But I hope that wasn't you, Esteban. Glad to hear, Dan. All right. The other thing is as always, when I get done with all of this, I'm going to be answering any of your questions. So if any of you, okay, good, glad to hear it wasn't you, Esteban, because that's not a fun way to be. If you guys have any questions, you can put them in the comments. And like I always say, right, this is an excellent opportunity to get your question answered. If your roommate is a freediving instructor with 10 years of experience, you can just ask him. But I'm going to guess your roommate doesn't have that experience. So this is a perfect chance for you to ask me a question, and I will try to answer them at the end. So let's start off and discuss this idea of efficient entry. So I already know there are a couple of my students that are in the chat, so you're going to laugh when you hear me say this because it's going to bring back memories. And I would say pleasant memories, but probably not. So the entry, I would argue, is one of the most complicated things that we as freediving instructors teach because it's a lot of steps. It's a lot of steps to get from the surface down to the bottom. And I know my students are thoroughly kind of annoyed with the whole process because, like, Dad, why the hell do you make it so complicated, right? Because, and here's why. The entry is how we get from the surface to like the first 15 feet. And, you could do that in the literally the most efficient way possible, or you couldn't. You just do it, just not even think about it, right? So a lot of the things that that I do is, my background is as a competitive freediver, and competitive freedivers, we're crazy about doing everything in the most efficient way possible, and that's going to be there's no reason. I don't care if you're a spearfisherman, or underwater photographer, or whatever you're doing underwater. There's no reason you wouldn't want to get down there as efficiently as possible. There's no reason you wouldn't want that. And so, as competitive freedivers, we know how to do everything very efficient, right? So you should look at that, the way that we do that, and apply it to what you're doing so that you can get down there in the most efficient oxygen, using the least amount of oxygen possible. A lot of people in their entries, they waste a lot of energy getting down to the bottom, which obviously is, there's no reason you would want to do that. Okay, and then you got another issue. One of the things that happens is a lot of divers wear too much weight. And when they take a freediving class and they understand from a safety standpoint that you don't want to be wearing that much weight, then they struggle to get down. And they say things like, Dad, we need that much weight for spearfishing. And I'm like, no, you need that much weight because your technique is no good, right? I mean, if you're overweighted, it takes no technique to get down to the bottom, right? I mean, you just hold your breath, point your head down to the bottom. As long as you equalize your ears, you'll be able to go. The weights do all of the work, right? But when we remove that weight, right, that's going to make us much safer. And then when you learn this efficient entry technique, now you're going to win on both sides. Now you're wearing less weight, right? So it's easier to get up to the surface. You're going to be more relaxed at the surface. And then when you learn this efficient entry technique, it's just as easy to go down as when you were wearing too much weight and had poor technique, right? So a lot of reasons we want to try to focus on how to do that. So I'm going to kind of go through and I'm going to give you, just like I do with my students, I'm going to give you a verbal explanation of what it is. And I want you to try to picture in your head what I'm talking about. Don't worry, eventually I'm going to show you the video, but I know that if you think through it in your head first, you're going to get more out of it than if you just watch the video first. All right, so the steps are, we want to be flat on the surface, completely flat, right? When I watch a lot of freedivers and spearfishermen, the surface is like this, right? The spearfisherman is like this. So like this is the surface of the water. Instead of flat on the surface, you see their feet hanging down like this at a 30-degree angle. Why do they do that? One of the reasons they do that is they're overweighted, so the weight belt starts to put them down, right? So we want to be flat at the surface. Okay. We're going to take our big breath, right? And if you visit that website, onlinefreedivingcourses.com, you can get a free course on how to take the biggest breath humanly possible. It's a free course. Just go to the website, and then you're going to see how to do that. The exact way that I teach my students how to do it. So, first thing, you're on the surface. You're going to... How do I make that go away? You're going to take the biggest breath you can. Diaphragm, chest, shoulders. You're going to spit your snorkel, pre-equalize your ears. That's all while you're laying down flat on the surface, right? We want our snorkel out of our mouth because if we have a blackout underwater with the snorkel in your mouth, that water is going to run through the snorkel into the lungs and creates a drowning hazard, right? So that's one of the reasons we don't want the snorkel in our mouth. So we're face down. We take diaphragm, chest, shoulders. We spit our snorkel, pre-equalize our ears, and then we take a second, right? And we think, what the heck am I about to do next? Because so far we haven't even done anything. We've just flat on the surface, biggest breath, diaphragm, chest, shoulder. You're going to learn by visiting that website. You're going to spit your snorkel out and you pre-equalize your ears. And now you're going to think, all right, what does that guy want me to do next? Next thing we're going to do is our 4 main steps, right? And for the poor students that are watching this is going to bring flashbacks, right? You've probably heard me say this 100 times in that course, right? The 4 main steps of that entry are bend, lift, pull, kick, bend, lift, pull, kick. If you were in my class, I would be making you repeat after me. And I always say, if you can't even verbally say what the 4 steps are, there's no way you're going to remember how to do them upside down underwater holding your breath. So the first step is 90-degree bend, right? 90-degree bend, right? So I want to be bent at the waist, straight down. Next thing we're going to do is bring that leg high up in the air, right? So what we do is we bring the knee to the chest, and then we extend it straight up in the air, right? So here's the idea. If I'm bent like this, and my foot is high up in the air, I'm straight up and down, where's gravity going to push me? Straight down, with no effort. That's the way gravity works, right? If I'm 90-degree bent, and I got that leg way up high in the sky, that weight is going to drive me straight down, without doing anything, right? The pool that I teach in is about 11 foot. I can't quite completely, I can almost get to the bottom of that pool without moving my hands or kicking my feet, just by bending and just by lifting, right? No crazy energy, right? Bend, just a good bend and lift, right? We'll start that thing down. Okay, now, if you remember, I said there were 4 steps. We said bend, and we got bend, and we got lift. What's the next one? Pull. It ain't kick your feet. If I bend and I pull the leg up like this and I start kicking my feet right now, what's going to happen? Just splash, 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 splash. Right? You ever see people do that? I'm sure you've seen people do that and maybe laugh at them on the boat, right? They start diving around, their fins are flipping around all over the place, right? It doesn't do anything because our fins don't work well in air. They don't work well in air. They need to be in water, right? So if I bend and I lift, my foot's up in the air and I start kicking it, it ain't going to work, right? So we don't kick then. We do bend, lift, and then pull, right? That good double arm pull. If you're in your freediving class, good double arm pull, right? If you're spearfishing, you're going to have one hand on the gun, and you're just going to pull with the other arm. It works perfectly fine for this. You're going to see Jeremy Gamble do it. This entry works perfectly fine for spearfishing with slight modification, right? So you got bend, you got lift, you got strong arm pull. What that's going to do is that's going to pull those legs underwater, right? Just pull underwater, and then only then do you stop kicking, right? You have to do 3 other things before you're allowed to kick your feet. You have to bend first, you have to lift, and you have to do a strong arm pull, and then once your feet are underwater, then you start kicking. Bend, lift, pull, kick, bend, lift, pull, kick, bend, lift, pull, kick, right? So that's the idea. Once we do that pull, I'm going to have my hand on the nose, hand over the head, and then it's just boom, 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 all the way down. So it's a good strong arm pull in one motion. You're going to bring your hands in this position. So pull, and then all the way down. Okay, so hopefully you have an idea of what that's going to be like. So now, let me see if using some technology wizardry, I can make you see this. And I think I am smart enough to, look at that, to do that. Maybe. Okay. All right, so let's watch this sucker. All right, let me move this out of the way. All right, so we're going to just watch this a couple of times. So first off, boom. That is perfect 90-degree bend, right? I am 90-degree bent. Okay, and in this shot, I just started to bring my one foot, because I do a one-legged entry. I just bring one foot over there. You notice my second foot is still laying on the flat on the surface, right? So we do a one-legged entry. It's more efficient than a two-legged. If you do a two-legged entry, it's not the end of the world, but you only need to lift one leg, so it takes less energy to lift one leg. If you do it correctly, then it does to lift 2 legs, so that's why we teach one leg. But if you do a two-legged entry, it's really no big deal. All right, so that's the bend, right? That leg is started to go up. So if you know the 4 steps, bend, lift, what's next? Pull. And now you're going to watch that arm pull, and watch how that just pulls me underwater. Boom! And then I start kicking, right? Bend. Let's see. Bend, pull, kick. Bend, you can't, yes, the leg, see the leg go up a little bit, then the pull, and then the kick. All right, and you can see the rails coming off my fins. Just why I don't wear those fins anymore, because the rails seem to always come off. All right, so that's bend, lift, pull, kick. Oh my gosh, I don't make this come back. All right, so that's the idea. Boom, lift, pull, kick, and then I just do all the way down. Okay, so that's the main concept. All right, so if you guys have questions for me to go over, put those in the comments and I will address those second. And then the next thing I'm going to be discussing is the most common mistake that I see when people do that. Now, for those of you that are watching, if you have not taken a freediving course, I recommend that you visit freedivingsafety.com. Right, where it's a free course where you can get access to all the safety information, especially before you're going to go take your freediving class. Right, if you have not taken a freediving class, I recommend freedivingsafety.com and onlinefreedivingcourses.com. As soon as you go to that website, what you're going to see is how to get your free course. Right, so this is your free course on how to take a 20 to 30% bigger breath. You just type your email address in there, and then you're going to get that free course. The next thing you're going to see is my Breath Holding Secrets course, right? Breath Holding Secrets course goes over the biggest secret in freediving, which is not what you do when you hold your breath, what you do before you hold your breath, right? So you're going to get access to the Breath Holding Secrets course, which you can see there. You're going to access the Freediving Safety course, which you can see there. You're going to access to an hour of TED Talks Freediving, which is my live show that I used to do on Instagram. It's 20 hours. You probably don't want to watch me talk for 20 hours, so I hired a freediving instructor, picked out the most educational and impactful 1 hour, and put it into a greatest hits. Here's an interview, a video I did for Jeremy Gamble, owner of Spearing Magazine, and also an interview with 3-time world record holder Ashley Futrell, right? So all that stuff, you get all that, and it's $39, and you can get that at the website that I listed there, right? onlinefreedivingcourses.com. All right, so let's take a look at the most common mistake that I see. And here's what it is. I tell my students this as soon as I put them in the pool. I show them how to do it. I tell them the mistake that they're gonna make, and I got 5 students that as soon as I let them at it, like 2 of them do it anyway. It's so hard not to make this mistake. Okay, so if I was in class and I could hear you guys, I would ask you, what's the first step, right? The first step is bend. That's not what your brain's gonna say. You're gonna be floating on the surface, right? And where do you want to go? You want to go down there, right? And so if you're flat on the surface and you want to go down there, I promise you, your brain is going to tell you. Now, one of the things I say in class is when it comes to freediving, your brain sucks. You should almost always never do what your brain says, right? Your brain almost always gives you the wrong idea. In fact, most of the time, you should do the exact opposite of what your brain says. In this situation, it's not the opposite. It's just incorrect. But you're laying flat on the surface. You want to go down underwater. And you want to get down there, so the first thing your brain is going to tell you to do is start pulling yourself down. Well, it makes sense. If you're on the surface, I want to get down and start pulling. All right? But if you remember from the video, what step is pull? Isn't that the first thing? Isn't that the second thing? It's the third thing. Right? It's bend, lift, pull. But almost everyone pulls first. Right? And here's what this does. If you're flat on the surface and you're trying to use your arms to pull yourself down, it's like a 2x4, right? If I have a 2x4 sitting on the surface of the water, do you understand it's difficult to push that 2x4 down, right? If it's laying flat like this. But if I take that 2x4 and I put it like this, isn't it simple to put? Yeah, it's simple to push underwater because I'm oriented this way, right? So when you're pulling first, it doesn't make any sense because you don't want to pull until you're perfectly straight up and down. And then it takes no energy to pull yourself under. When you pull first, it's like you're trying to pull that 2x4 underwater, right? So we don't pull first, okay? It's the biggest, most common mistake that I see. They pull, okay? So I'm going to show you a video of what happens when you pull first. And there's a good chance that you pull first. I can't say that for certain, but I will say my students, after I tell them not to pull first like 10 times in a row, when I let them at it the first time, half of them are pulling first because it's a hard habit to break. So let me see. I'll show you what it looks like. Most common problem. Look at this. That's not it. Bear with me. Oh my gosh. Where is the stupid thing? Alright, where is that stupid video? Where's that video? Bear with me, guys. That's Jeremy's video. Yeah, all right, here it is. So let's see. Yeah, all right, got it on here. Okay. So this is kind of what I see. This is what it looks like when they pull first. Right? So look how inefficient this is. Watch this. Pull, pull, kicking, pulling, kicking, pulling, kicking. Now it starts to work. Right? You see all that wasted energy? I mean, look at that. Right? It's because I did it out of order. Right? I pull, but I haven't even bit yet. Now my feet are flapping up in the air. And none of those pulls were even good. They're a bunch of wimpy pulls. Right? I want one strong pull to get me underwater. I'm supposed to bend first, but I'm not. I'm now bent, but I've already done 2 arm pulls. Yeah, watching me do this irritates me. Yeah, all right. So that's the way we don't want to do it, right? All right. Let me figure out how to make myself come back. Where did I go? Yeah. Yeah. So one thing is after that pull, it's one continual motion, and then you hold this position all the way down. If you're going 100 feet, hold it down 100 feet. You hold this down to 30 feet, you hold all the way down to 30 feet, right? Keep that position all the way down. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is show you the video footage of Jeremy Gamble and how he does this with spearfishing. If you guys have questions for me, put them in the comments. All right, so now we're going to check out what Mr. Jeremy does here. And this doesn't irritate me, unlike that last one. That last video irritates me. All right, so how do I make this happen? Jeremy, where is the Jeremy video? Yeah, why is everything so complicated? I just want to teach freediving. Where's that video? All right, here we go. All right, so can y'all see? Yes, okay. So a couple things, I'm going to back it up. All right, so the first thing I want you to know is just really slick about what he does. Right, so he's flat on the surface just like he's supposed to be. Look at how he's holding his gun. Well, first of all, the gun it's already pointed down underwater, and you notice look at how he's holding it. Right, say he's holding it upside down. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's the way he's holding it is unusual, but it's very smart the way he's holding it. So the first thing. I'll just let you watch it first, and then we'll go over discussing things. Okay, so you notice super stream on the way down, right? The gun is creating no extra drag, right? He doesn't have it way over his head. He's not holding it down the middle of the handle and like bringing it down to the side of his body. All this other stuff I see people do, right? But I mean, look at that. I mean, that's a very streamlined way to get down, right? Not a lot of drag. Is really, he's taking it down using basically the minimal amount of drag, which is awesome. Okay, now the neatest part of what he does is the beginning. Okay, so I wish I knew how to do slow motion. Is there a way to do that? Let's see. So, okay, at least do this. Okay, so I want you to notice that the gun does not move for the first couple of steps. The gun doesn't move. He moves to the gun, right? So watch. The gun is there, and then he does a bend. The gun is not moving. It's staying right where it is, right? It's only till right about now that he's actually carrying the gun, right? So it's really slick, right? So gun doesn't move, gun's not moving. he's moving around the gun, and then now he's catch up to it, and he starts taking it down to the bottom, right? So just watch this a couple times, right? You see how he's holding it in that kind of unusual grip. I'll call it backwards, but whatever you want to call it. He's not holding the handle in the way that you would shoot it. So this is pretty slick, right? And he is for sure bend, lift, right? He does pull, right? That is this exact same entry I teach in class, is how to do it with a big old spear gun as efficiently as possible. So that's really cool. All right, so for the guys that are spearfishing, I hope you can pick something up from that, because that's actually pretty slick. So one of the things I've got a lot of courses I'm working on. One of them is going to have that. Obviously, it's going to be in much more detail. I'll be doing that. I've also got a course I'm probably going to film tomorrow. That's going to be discussing the deep equalization. I would say intermediate equalization issues, which is what students struggle in my intermediate class. They typically struggle between, I'd say, 70% of my students in the intermediate class have trouble equalizing between 70 feet and 100 feet, right? There's a very particular thing I call air management that they have to learn how. So I'm going to be doing a course on that, and then a course on the entry as well. All right, so you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to start wrapping this thing up. I think I'm going to start doing these shows a little shorter, a little kind of just get straight to the point and get in and get out. I think I'm going to be doing them 3 days a week, because I think if I start doing them hours, it's a lot of me talking about freediving for you guys. So I think I'm going to shorten up the episodes. All right, so if you guys have any questions, I will answer those, and I'm going to start wrapping this thing up. The most popular course that I have is my 28-day freediving transformation program. So for those of you that are watching, it's the 5 most effective dry land training exercises that you can do at home, right? The question I always ask spearfishermen, when I was at the Blue Wild, right, it was really cool. I had probably 15 people that went through that 28-day training program come up to me and they're like, oh my God, that was so cool. And so, what I ask people is, if you're a freediver, if you're a spearfisherman, do you wish that you could dive deeper, and do you wish you could stay down longer, right? And the answer to that question is, they're like, yeah, of course, Ted, right? They never say no, they always say yes. So then the question I ask is, what are you currently doing to achieve those results? And 95% of the time, the answer I get is, I go spearfishing whatever I can. Yeah, and that's helpful to a point, but that's not training, right? If you look at any sport, the way that you improve is you do specific and targeted training, right? Your football players, they don't say, well, what do you do to get better at football? They don't go, I play football once a week, right? No, they go to the gym, they do stretching, they do scrimmage, they do practice, they do cardio, they do all these things, right? And so what I'm always trying to tell, especially my spearfishing students, is competitive freedivers, competitive freediving is not the same as spearfishing. It's not. But we know how to dive crazy deep. We know how to dive a crazy long time. And one thing that every competitive freediver understands how to do is train for our sport, right? Most spearfishermen don't do any specific training for the sport of freediving. They just go out freediving whenever they can. Now, let's be clear. If you can go out spearfishing 7 days a week, you do not need this course. You don't need the 28-day program. If that's the best thing you can do is go diving every day, right? That's awesome. Most people are extremely limited on how much time they can spend in the water, and so that's why a program like this, which goes over the 5 best dry land training exercises that you can do, is super helpful, right? You got to do, if you can go through the program, you got to do 3 breath holds a week. 2 of them are terrible. You're not going to like them. You're going to hate me. One of them is actually quite easy, and you'll look forward to that one. So you got to do 3 breath holds a week. Takes about 30-45 minutes for each of those breath holds. So that's and then 2 days a week, you just got to do 5 minutes of stretching. So you add it all up, it's about 2 hours a week, right? If you stack that together for 4 weeks in a row, 28 days, right? So you get 5 days of training, 2 days off. Do that for 4 weeks in a row. You're going to radically transform your physiology to make it better suited for freediving by increasing your mammalian dive reflex. Your diaphragm is going to be flexible. Your CO2, all these other things are going to work out way better for you. So you also get access to a private Facebook group where I can answer your questions. You're going to get access to an interview from Jeremy Gamble, owner of Spearman Magazine. So here's again, I mentioned this earlier, one of the biggest, I think, gaps in most freediving classes in the U.S. is most of them are taken by spearfishermen. So they take the freediving class, they're super excited, they're jazzed, and then they're like, well, how do I do all that and be safe and go back to what I do, which is spearfishing? right? And so Jeremy, basically, he took my class, and I have an interview with him where he just lays down the law on how there's no reason spearfishing shouldn't be implemented safe freediving practices, and more importantly, how to do that, right? As a spearfisherman, how do you take what he learned in my class and implement it to what he does? So if you're a spearfisherman, this is a must-see because it's going to tell you how someone who's respected in spearfishing does all this stuff and is safe, right? And so I think it's a really cool interview. Right, so when the program is done, I will go through in the comments and I'll put a link to that course. The course is $149, and I'll leave a link where you can purchase it directly. If you go to onlinefreedivingcourses.com, it's just the way the website is set up. You end up having to buy Breath Hold Secrets first, and then you buy it on the next page, but it credits you, so it's $150 either way. But I'll also leave a link just where if you want to purchase it directly, you can do that as well. All right. Larry, there's a question about Jeremy. I can't answer that question for him, but what I will tell you is in a couple of weeks I'm going to have him on the show as an interview. I've just got some to figure out how to take the audio from his interview that comes through Zoom, put it through my mixer, and make it so that it comes through this thing so you guys can hear it right. But once I figure that out, which I will, he's going to be one of the first people I have an interview on the show, so he will happily answer your question there. I don't want to answer the question for him. All right, so that's it. I'm going to wrap the show up. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys learned something from it. If you enjoyed the show, one of the single best things you can do to help me is share the show, right? Especially if you're on Facebook. Not only just hit the share button, take the 15 seconds to say, like, hey, you should check out the show. This guy's great, or whatever it is you think about the show. Because when you hit the share button, this is a picture of me talking goes by. They don't know who the hell I am. They're like, what the hell is that guy talking about, right? They know you. And if you say the show is worthwhile, then they're going to actually possibly check the show out, right? So if you can share the show, say something, reason why they should check it out. This is the single best thing you can do to support me. I will be back Tuesday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. So I'll see you guys next week. Like I always say, dive safe out there, and it's not even that hard. Now that there's freedivingsafety.com, which you can visit for free and learn to not kill yourself and save your buddy and save some money all at the same time, right? See you guys next week.